we wanted to approach council in regards to helping us pay for the midway rides. The company has asked for $130,000. We're still negotiating the contract with them. And also to help pay for security. We'd like to have security on 24 hours, preferably a notable security company, if not our own Six Nations police force. We had a couple incidents last year at the fair that we'd like to try and resolve, and I think a little bit more security presence that's visible throughout the fair and through the evening would be a lot more beneficial for the community. So in saying that, we would be asking for $60,000.
Okay, thanks, Leslie. I'll look to open the floor for any questions or comments. I know in the past, and I did recall myself, along with I believe Nathan and Michelle, attended your last meeting
Yes.
to provide any updates that we could do. So I think this is just following the next step. I'm not sure, Leslie, if we'll have an answer today in terms of the request, but obviously can still allow the process to follow through, and then we would follow up with yourself on any decisions made. But just wanted to look to any questions or comments at this point in time for Leslie. Again, this is the Six Nations Agricultural Society, who does in return put on and host our annual fall fair. So looking to any questions or comments. I know obviously we've supported in the past.
Michelle's got a question, Chief.
Sure.
Leslie, good to see you. So not being on the fair board, can you advise how come it costs so much? Because Chief, I thought you were negotiating with all the companies to see what's the best offer we could get. 120 is extreme. I think we can invest 120 better, right? So that gives us 14 rides. That's just a little too much, I think. When other fairs pay 20,000, why are we paying 120? I know the history of the fair board, but I mean, in the last 5 years, I think we've run a good show and been able to pay our bills. So I'm just putting that out there.
Yep.
Sure. Thanks for that, Michelle. And just really quickly, so yeah, we have been in conversation with one company who is using a dual company for all three community events, including one that just passed, the Bread and Cheese, as well as Solidarity Day, and as well as the Fall Fair, which Leslie, to my knowledge, is going to be dropped exponentially.
From my understanding, the contract we got from the company was combining Bread and Cheese, Solidarity Day, and the fair. And that was the amount that they requested, was 130, as far as the fair part went, not as far as including cheese and Solidarity Day. Those are different. That was negotiated, my understanding was, through council.
Yeah, so Leslie, what we can do then, again, I think there just needs to be another follow-up meeting on that, because one of the pieces was that obviously with multiple events, that it would be a decreased price. As we all know, the industry itself is a hard industry, especially after COVID, as there's a lot of companies that we would usually use who are no longer in business. And so that obviously is an impact across, the fair industries, because obviously a lot of the times is the dates as well, which we know has been an issue in the past of conflicting dates for midway providers that would come to the our event. So that was the whole goal behind really trying to accomplish more unified approach and collaborative approach with the already annual events that we have within community. So let's say I think just to my last conversation with Mr. Lieberman would be that it would be at a cheaper rate for the fall fair just based upon inclusiveness of the other two events. So that's why I think maybe what we'll do is maybe reconvene a meeting with Mr. Lieberman to get a more updated figure, because I don't think that's the one. That was the figure that was prior to the negotiations.
That was the last one we had with him, and then and he gave us a breakdown of what each event cost for their rides, bread and cheese being the least, and then the next Solidarity Day.
Yeah.
And
Okay. So
because we had added some adult rides, which was requested by the community last year, that's why our price was up. So it would be good to have somebody from council also attend the meeting with Mr. Lieberman, if possible, to see if we can negotiate that back down. Because
Yeah,
for us, from the fair board, it seemed like it was almost the same amount we paid last year, which was ridiculous. So we are trying to keep our costs down.
Okay, thanks, Leslie. So I could be the one to help assist in this matter, but again, it's I think at this point in time, we'll still look to our finance team to come back with the request as well, because again, I think that might fluctuate in terms of the actual figure. So we can have a more thorough conversation off the line, Leslie, and then further set up a meeting with Mr. Lieberman.
Okay, I will be in touch with you, and or you can be in touch with me when it's convenient for you and Mr. Lieberman, and I'll make myself available.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you, Nyawa, for that, Leslie. I see a hand raised by Hazel.
Yeah, Mark, I just want to clarify that I had always thought that Solidarity Day was covered by GRE, like the cost for all the rides, etc.
Yeah, that's correct.
So this is not including that day, then, is it?
No, it's not. So, but
okay.
GRE still would be paying for Solidarity Day, so it doesn't really matter the source of funds. It's more or less trying to get a better bang for our buck.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any further questions or comments for Leslie? And again, Jennifer, if we could just take note, because we'll look to see where sources of funds could potentially come from once the further decision is made. Looking to see any final questions or comments. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands raised, so I will at this point ask for a motion to accept as information at this point, and then for further follow-up for our finance team on the actual request. Is there a mover to that effect?
I'll move, Chief.
Moved by Sherry Lynn, seconder. Seconded by Melba. Are there any further questions or comments? Okay, seeing or hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. Okay, Nyawa, thank you, Leslie. So we'll do some follow-up, and I'll be reaching out.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Council, we're going to continue moving along our agenda here on general finance. Again, I believe we are live now at this point. I'll look to, I believe Ruby is on the line. Our next delegation is the Farmers Association with the Sustainability and Food Security Program. So I'll look to, good morning, Ruby and Frank. I think I see Frank as well. So good morning to you, and I'll pass I'll pass the floor over to yourselves.
Yeah, good morning, council. It's good to see everybody again in bits and pieces here, but nonetheless, you're still there. We'd like to do this presentation to you there with regard to this food sustainability project. There we go, yeah.
Oh, my apologies. Sorry. If I could just have everybody, if I get the Teresa, the host, to mute everybody, please, and thank you. So we have minimal interruptions. Apologies. Back over to you, Frank.
Yeah, like I said, good morning to everybody, and we'd like to do a presentation to you on a food sustainability program or project there that we've been working on for the last quite a number of years here, and things have got down to presentation time here. So rather than me stumble through it, I'm just going to turn it over to Ruby there, who's been working on it faithfully over this past 5 or 6 years here total. So I'll turn the floor over to you.
Okay, Nyala, for that, Frank. Sorry, Ruby, did you, just to confirm, did you need to do a share screen?
Yes, we will, but I thought, Chief Mark, we could introduce who's with me here. They've
Sure.
been all working too, and plus there's some out still putting seed in the ground, and so they're not all here, but we'd like them to, you to know who's here. So can you do open the screen so we can see us, all of us here? Or no, we're all together in one room, so.
Okay, you'll just have to do a shift. There you go.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Morning, Mark, Chief Mark, this is Art Porter, part of the organization, Farmers Association.
Morning, Jesse Porter.
Good morning, Vera Montour. Riel Claus.
Scano Seguego, Jana Montour.
Okay, well, we're very happy to be at this point, council, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to present where the farmers are at this time. And I'm going to ask them to put our share screen up. I got a PowerPoint we're going to work through, and hopefully by the end, if you could wait, save your questions till the end, write them down what you'd like to ask the farmers till we get done looking here.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you, Nyawa, Ruby, and good morning, everyone. And again, welcome to General Finance. I do see, Ruby, your share screen. You have the share screen on.
There we go. Yeah, so the Six Nation Food Sustainability Food Security Task Force is a offshoot of Six Nation Farmers for this project. So just so that you know, it belongs to the farmers, but it's a community entity trying to look at the revitalization of food agriculture in the community. Here's some of the farmers. We're sad to say we've lost John this year. And then there's Ralph Soud and Frank Latour at the top there, and in the bottom, Art Porter and Jesse and Barry Hill. And we were unable to catch all the other ones. So, but there's about, we think, at this time, about 15 farmers in the community when you try to add them all up. And everywhere farming is decreasing, even across the country. In our data that we've collected, farming is slowly, individual farming is slowly decreasing. It's more the corporate level farming that's happening. So their vision is to try and revitalize safe and healthy farming in the community, and looking at different strategies, the trends, all the safe farming issues that need to be looked at, what's happening local and globally, as well as all the marketing strategies that happen. So in 2017-22, the farmers had a retreat, and at that point, they really were concerned about the longevity of farming food agriculture at Six Nations of the Grand. And one of the farmers, who's not here, had put forth the idea that they should do some kind of a survey of the community to see exactly what does the community think of agriculture anymore. And so that's was why they got onto this. That was, they had five major objectives. So this was the last one that was in the strategic plan, went to 222. So this is what they looked at, was to try and create this this program for the community to preserve for community food sustainability and food security. So they did 2 studies as a result of that. The first one is called the Six Nation Farmers Association Survey Report, Reestablishing Viable Agriculture on Six Nation Reserve. And that was funded by GREAT. And this study told us what the people thought. And the major outcome or takeaway was that they were really afraid that there wouldn't be any farming going on in the community, food farming into the future. So onward from there, they did study 2, this feasibility study, and we managed to work with Grand River Economic Development Corporation. They gave us funding to do this study, to really look at it. How feasible is it or not? Is it gonna, could it work in the community? Is it possible to reestablish food agriculture in the community? Because the whole idea of food in the world is going to be an issue and becoming more of an issue with all the political unrest, the kinds of natural disasters that are happening and so forth. And even the whole shift away from agriculture is more towards technology and so on. Even industry is suffering. So it has to do with a lot of the economics of the world as well. So this was the major outcome. We worked with KL Martin and Associates to work through this study too. Realize, and from there we were able to establish that it's possible to make a food sustainable agricultural program in the community. And through the research, they looked at shopping habits and how it works surrounding us, how many community houses we have, and how much we pay off into the system through the year. It's millions of dollars, just food alone that leaves the community. I think we figured it out, if we consider 2,000 homes. I know probably more now. You probably know more accurately how many homes there are. Say if families you spend $400, which we have to do these days, and then times 1 week, even then times 52, it's a huge amount of money going out of the community, and we don't have anything here to keep our system providing food for the community on a constant basis. There is one food grocery store here. It's privately owned, but this here, the farmer's idea is that this would be owned by the community. And these people that came to be on the food sustainability task force, they feel like they're representing the community in opinion and the guidance for this whole program. We put that out into the paper to get recruits, and we have 9 on that board that have led this whole thing through. So And Vera and I tried to be the pencil and paper for them. But the major outcome was that we could reestablish a food sustainable agriculture program, but it's gotta be within the parameters of the study and the research data that we found to make it be a success in the community in the future. So that study too, I did send that to you at one point. I don't know if you recall, folks. We can send the whole study to you again at the end if you wish to ask that, we could. So what we've been working on this past year, we started July 21 last year. And we did apply to Agricultural Canada for funding, and it took them right to from July 21 to March 31 at the last minute before we actually got the agreement signed. And it had to be signed by council. They wouldn't accept our CRA number or our business number from the community council and so on. So that was a struggle, but in the end, it was signed by council and onward we went. So, but up until that point, the directors just worked. Everybody had to work because we had no money to do anything. So all the directors and Beer and I were doing different things, trying to look at this and take it from a blueprint from the study to an action model for a go-ahead. So we tried to look at it from the point of view of two components. An agriculture resource center that would be available to community members and agricultural business members to assist with the production of food and to help people learn be educated in terms of how to grow food and so forth, and anything agriculture that anybody wants to know so that they can be successful with their agricultural adventure. And if they do have extra produce or whatever, they could sell it to the grocery store for sale. And then we see a grocery store and deli, and it would be more like a farm center grocery store. We've checked out all that whole system of grocery stores, and you know, across Canada, it's owned by Loblaws, all of the chains, right down to Sobeys, Foodland, Cloverleaf. All of those are all owned by Loblaws. We did try to contact Loblaws. They said they have an Aboriginal component to their business background, but trying to catch anybody was very hard. And when you ask something of the other grocery stores, even Foodland, they would send us to Sobeys or Loblaws. So we checked around other ones like the Windmill and some of the Mennonites and Brown Cow, all of those kind of stores. Those are kind of along the lines that we're looking at, where we would be able to maintain a constant food supply year round and supply the needs of different businesses in the community even. And I think social services saw it as even a hookup to be able to maybe cook at in like a deli or something to supply, say the daycares, because they have trouble with you know, some days they can't find a cook and so forth. But the idea is to have a store that can service the whole community all year round. So the Food Sustainability Task Force was established 2021. We put that out to the community to make that call for directors. We've constructed a constitution So policies and procedures, and we've registered it with CRA and the Canadian Succession Elected Council. We open a bank account, and we've got an office, and we're renting an office here. Actually, it's Art's old homestead. So he's let the farmers rent that. So we wanted to do this properly and go from a business point of view that we are an organization that has everything behind it as an organization to proceed forward. So that's what took forth. It took us through the summer to get that done, because when you're doing policy procedures, it takes a lot of work. Okay. And we're located at the 1778 4th line, in case you're not aware. And that's just a few doors down from the funeral home towards Brantford. And those are our contact numbers. Those are the offices of the board are President is Art, Vice President is Frank, Annalisa Gundren is our finance officer, and I'm acting secretary. Signatories, we got signatories out of there. June Soudens and Vera are in addition to the ones I already mentioned. And then the directors, Jesse, Ralph, Chris, Lori, and Mike Hill. So those guys have been guiding the whole process. And again, we couldn't get pictures of all of them. They were elusive, some of them. Goal of Agriculture, the resource center, it's going to be like our total agricultural information center for the community. So anything agriculture, people want to know traditional ways or whatever, we would make efforts to be able to answer that person so they could be successful in their agricultural endeavor. And this thing will also support employment, skill training, enterprise, and development in the community. And there needs to be more folks who have that horticultural background or agricultural training. The farmers did take 5 students to work a community garden. And we had a beautiful garden. They made a beautiful garden in clay. So it's possible to do whatever you so wish to do about having something nice with food agriculture. And we want to have the resources there, the human resources, the technical resources, the tools to do all of that so that we can make it work. There has to be commitment. It's hard work doing a garden. I don't know who has done one lately. Maybe all of you have, I don't know. But it is really lots of work to do that. So you have to work that into your busy day to do it. But that's probably where we're going to have to end up in time. Otherwise, we won't have any food. Remember how our mothers all did canning all summer, and we had beef or pork and so on in the fall. Like you cut it up for winter and so forth. So all of those things that we did in the past. I know my brother Bill always says those old birds are a connection with the old way to the new way. And whether the new way is better or not, I don't know. You got to have that money and to do it. But if you grow your own stuff even if you got a little garden out your back door, at least you can have food for your winter. Do tomatoes and so forth. Anyway, that's a thought behind that. So those are the two things that we're looking at, the actual food market and the resource center. And we're seeing the purpose of the resource center. I just told you, there they all are. And then the farm center, this is the staffing of it. We would have a business manager that really looked after everything overall. And then the community resource center that helped the citizens actually do hands-on, and if they want to do a garden or learn whatever, conduct workshops, classes. And the farmers run the corn for the community program and manage that. But Art's getting old, he says, and he wants to pass that on to somebody, right, Art?
That's right.
And make everybody understand how to grow corn and so on. So there would be teaching about that in that resource center. So these are some of the staff we're saying that would be attached. An admin assist. Go on. And then here's the farmers market specialty store, what all we would be doing there, trying to have those lovely vegetables there available for people year round. and that we wanted to make sure everything is grown safely, you know, so according to for food security. And we would have full gamut of food, meat and dairy. We got friends that are waiting to help with meat and dairy and all healthy food alternatives. And we would have those profits in the community, and we would have employment from all of this, and hopefully long-term food sustainability and security. So there would be a general manager to oversee all the grocery store. And then getting inside the store, the operations manager looked after the hiring and all of that. And Veer's been working hard on the policy procedure for hiring, training, orientation, and so forth. And that person would supervise employees. And communications will be a big thing here. This is why we're starting like this, to let council know, because we will be out there trying to push this now, because we actually are looking at the implementation stage. And then there has to be a store manager that looks after all the inventory, the supervisors and employees, daily sales, and so on. Ours won't look like that. It's going to look more farmish. Store clerks to do the checking out and cleaning and stocking and so forth. Daily maintenance, you know, whenever you run something, you having gone through accreditation with health services across Canada, we as an accreditor, you learn the importance of a whole maintenance program that begins with daily cleaning. Well, first of all, you got to have a whole plan of management, asset management. Daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual, ongoing, so that everything is monitored on an ongoing basis. And that would be, that's huge itself. You have to be on tap with all your mechanicals and technicals, as well as cleaning everything top to bottom. So that's a big thing with keeping a clean store too. We thought that it would be open 7 days a week, because you know how we are Sunday night. A lot of us need to get to the store for Monday morning, and we gotta have things for the lunches. So a little bit about our construction ideas. The grocery store would be 1 story. The retail size, and these are from the study, the size, because they figured out how much space per person would be needed, and they can figure out from all of that data what size your building should be. So both of them will end up being around 13,000 square feet, but a little bit more, I think, was we're trying to have 100 by 200 square. And it needs to be close to amenities and not too far, like, you know, sewer, hydro, water, gas, all those things. And we put out there to try and find a land for this. You can go to the next one. We're looking for 10 acres, 25,000 an acre, 250,000. So we did ask council for land, no answer there. We asked, put it out there, and we had the possibility of one, but only one person stood up to say yes, they would sell 10 acres. Down on Third Line. Okay, so the building itself, we're looking not so much a shiny deal like say Zayers. This is going to be one of those, what do you call those buildings? A pre-engineered building, so that it's and Frankie's been shopping for that. He has a lot of background in construction, as does Art and Gassy and so on. And the water source would be there, the wastewater, electric servicing, site work, furnishing equipment, totaling around 5,689,065. So, and that's probably in this time. This was finished. We finished looking at this a couple of years ago. So you know how the cost went up with COVID and all that. So, and then there's inflation right now, but still, we need this here for our longevity for our communities. We gotta look at that. And then the inside the store, you need all the shelving, the refrigeration, the inventory, and the store finishes. And so we're looking, we consider this a partnership deal with farmers, elected, the Confederacy, and whatever partners. And already stepping up is the social services. I was going to just mention they're not here this morning. They were lined up to be bound. I know things happen in the daily time frame of when you're dealing with programming. But anyways, we're open to partners. We think there's a lot of that can happen. And proposed annual sales for sure would be maybe probably way more than 3 million. And we would have within the agriculture resource center that will be the administration for the project. That's the project. So the guys are here to answer questions. And I just have a little bit to say on the one from social services because we need a BCR on what they want, as well as to accept that.
Okay, Nyawa, thank you, Ruby, for walking us through your presentation. Just getting some notes, if we can get that passed along so I can get it out to full council, the presentation itself, the hard copies. Okay. I'm just looking to, at this point, open the floor up for any questions or comments. It's quite the extensive project and much needed within the community. I know also we've just had a presentation at our Iroquois caucus meeting from our health services. So I think there's also, in addition to social, also many collaborators when it comes to, I think, even funding. In terms of these types of projects, can definitely be inclusive of other departments and so forth. So just wanted to put that out there as well. I see a number of hands being raised. I'll first begin with Audrey, over to Michelle.
Okay, I guess I'm on. Yeah, welcome everybody. It's nice to see you again. And I'm really glad to see that you have really expanded on your proposal and you're thinking big now, which is good. I have a couple of questions, and one is, are you using chemical fertilizers or are you green growing? What will the cost be to the community members? Will they be able to afford it? And are you also going to be adding corn that's table corn that you can eat? And will you be having a greenhouse for starting all of your crops, or you just do it the way with just basic planting? And also, are you going to have meat there at your store, the community store, I guess is what it's called? So if you could help me out with those questions, I would appreciate
Well,
it.
wait, let's do one at a time, Audrey. You got lots of them there. What was your first one?
Oh, I know Frank knows all this stuff. First one was, are you using chemical fertilizers? Are you green growers?
We want to keep it as organic as possible, everything organic as possible. And that's our endeavors. We try to keep everything natural.
That's wonderful. And we have a lot of people on the reserve who use the food bank. So I guess, how are they going to be able to access this? I assume you're selling this, right?
Yes. Yes, of course, it's going to be a farm center for somewhat like a grocery store, eh? Similar to Brown Cow or something like that, Audrey. You been there?
I've been to Brown Cow. They got some good stuff there, and they got some good prices too. So that's what I guess I'm going to ask is about, will the average person be able to afford it year round?
Most certainly. That's something that we're working together with many partners and trying to develop a constant supply that is at a good affordable price for everyone.
We want to have a day, like a Tuesday for seniors, and give them a discount on their purchases for one day of the week. You know, there's a lot of people will come out maybe a Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll set a day aside so seniors we'll set a 10 to 15% discount on what they buy to help them. Because we know the cost of living is going up pretty much every day, and it's a struggle for us old timers.
And that's one of the biggest things is the fruit and the vegetables are so
Right.
high that our people have to go into those high carbohydrate foods, and that's not good for our diabetes on Six Nations. So the other question is, are you going to be selling meat at this store as well?
There's a possibility to anything that you're able to obtain off reserve will be hopefully in this store, so that it's a one-stop shop for everyone. I know this project has been mentioned to a number of guys that own butcher shops and stuff like that. And one guy in particular there from the Conings there, he's chomping at the bit to be able to walk into this place and help provide a source of meats. Along with, well, I know myself, I still grow a bunch of animals every year, but it's hard for one person to say that I can provide for the whole reserve at a yearly time, because it takes the animals a number of months to grow themselves so that you can process them for that feature that you're asking for in the store. So yeah, like it's all there, and it can be achieved by if everybody gets on board with what we're trying to do.
I think that's really, really good answers, guys. I really respect what you're doing, and I really believe in what you're doing, because with this change in climate weather, right now they had on TV this morning that the plains, all the plants up there are all dry. So they were calling it some kind of a basically a semi-drought, but it's going to get worse. And that's why I think that the more we can grow on Six Nations and the more people who know how to do it, the better. Because then you can go back to all those things like canning. Maybe that can go back in the schools again. Canning, preservation, pickling, drying, all of that stuff. But it's a really good presentation, guys, and I believe what you're doing. Believe in what you're doing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Nyawa, for your questions, Audrey, and as well your responses to the farmers. And again, I do agree as well. I think just before I go over to Michelle, I think it's quite important, especially with what we've learned, over COVID times. There's no more important time now than to start to grow our own food. Is at this point. So again, do also appreciate all the work that has gone into this presentation and project, and do look forward to how we could further support this as a whole. Michelle?
Okay, so it's really nice to see that the Farmers Association is helping the schools. I know that at my daughter's school, they're doing their own planting and having, teaching about gardening and stuff. So it's nice to see those collaborations. And what I heard in your presentation was that you're collaborating not only with us, but HCCC. And I'm assuming health services is us when you speak of that. So how much is every entity cost sharing of your $5.6 million budget?
We haven't got a cent from anyone yet. We're going to now, this project was supposed to be to prepare the implementation plan. Now we're ready to do the implementation, and we're working hard on proposals to find dollars. And that's why we wanted to bring this to council to get a BCR of support so that we can approach different entities that may have dollars to share towards this entity. I know that we can work through the Health Foundation too, because we're working with Grant Advance, and there is funding there from different charities that want to donate dollars to agriculture initiatives for Aboriginals. And they don't want to really be high on the radar, but they want to be, they need to give their money away. So we're researching that and working with health services to do that. Not health services, but the Health Foundation to do that. We're just beginning that now, and we've looked carefully at how that works and so on. And we have a way through the Health Foundation to do it. So that's one big way we're working at seeking dollars, but we need this support BCR from the council, and also any kind of funds or assistance the council could see, because this is supposed to be owned by the community, not individuals. So that will go on into the future, and it needs to be sustained, and it means work. So, and you have to have people there to do it. But the farmers, they don't have any money. They're an association that just gets by with their ticket sales and so on and whatever like that. So just so you know that this is what we've done here from July 21 to now, well, end of March, was is the implementation plan for all of this. It researched and planned. Now we're the implementation, and we need you to be there, council. Really do. This community needs this, and it's not for these guys are, like Art keeps saying, he's trying to retire, and we're not letting him because they just you know what? A lot of the people can't even get up on a tractor. So we need to help our folks whatever way we can to get this back in the way it used to be, so that we can be independent as a community in supplying food to our people. I know it's huge, and maybe I'm really idealistic. I probably am, and should be looking at going off into the wilderness as our planning on doing, but there's something driving me, folks, that really have to have this for our community, for our folks to survive. And then we gotta reorientate some thinking. We can't just pull our chair up to the table and hope there's gonna be something there forever in the future. It may not be that way. We'll be fighting each other for every morsel. So hopefully never, but well, anyway, that's what we think today. If we can get a BCR from you to support the venture, that we explore funding for it, and even if you have a place where we could do it, that'd be fine too. But I don't know what else to say, guys.
Is that the only question you had? Or do you have another one? Or does that answer your question?
No, okay. No, I was looking at the collaboration because I know it's going to be significant. And so what we were talking here in the council chambers is that there are grants out there, and Sherry Lynn will speak to it, because we see what's happening in other First Nations, and they have, taken on agriculture, and they are utilizing the federal grants. And so this is where I was trying to see is, okay, if you're partnering with us as well as HCCC, then, how are we going to cost share this? Because I do agree, we all need food, right? And some families are a little bit more progressive than others. So how do we share that knowledge? So that's really where I was asking, is the financial aspect of it. Thanks.
Okay, thanks for that, Michelle. I see again a number of hands being raised. So I'm going to continue going down the speakers queue. I had Arliss Sky, who's on the line. Her hand was in queue next, and then over to Sherry Lynn, Hazel, Greg, and then Audrey. So Arliss, you have the floor.
Thank you. Sorry I was a little bit late signing on, but I just wanted to I guess support our role in the farmers, right? Because social is not, we're not farmers. We do have that interest in helping our families do the restoration and reconciliation with a connection to Mother Earth and through gardening. So our purpose would be to support the application to the agro-diversity program that looks at various components of agriculture, gardening in the community. So that's what our role is, to support that, but also looking at last year through COVID, Health and Social implemented a gardening program. So part of that work we want to do is revisit all of the individuals that received those small garden plots, and using the farmers to help with that expertise in the land preparation. And even what Sherry and I were talking about earlier this morning was looking at where they place those 4x4 garden plots. Maybe the farmers with their expertise knew that it shouldn't be sitting on the north side of their lot, but maybe on the east side. I don't know whether that's even right. So that we would use their expertise so that their families would have some success in even their small garden plots. So that's part of the work that we want to do with the farmers. And then also support with the land set aside if it's a greenhouse on Fourth Line. And what Ruby mentioned before was the garden that they grew, and looking at even early in January, February of next year, starting the seedlings, so that we can have access to various plants that individuals can go to the greenhouse and transplant into their garden in springtime. So that's our role, social services role, in supporting the Farmers Association, right? So we would have the smaller plot. I know we've talked about this small piece of what we can do with individual families to support gardening. There's also a midsection, which would be like the little larger component where families may have larger plots and want to get into the bigger growing of specific produce like peas or corn or strawberries you know, how do we use expertise of the farmers so that the community members are successful? And that's where that payback or that move forward would go, whether they sell it or whether they donate it back to the food bank as an initial startup. And then the bigger piece is what the farmers have there with their, you know, with their sustainability plan, their market, and the larger plots of land where you can do more, like bigger scale gardening and produce development. We've been looking at some of the grants that are available and wanting to help the farmers with those so that our families are successful in whatever size gardens they want to put in. You know, how to do the land prep, and what is that cycle of the land preparation so that, you know, this fall they start preparing their garden. The farmers work with the seeds, growing those seedlings. So it's a whole big cycle that we have to really grow as a community to really work together.
Okay, Nyala Arlis, for your comments and contributions to this project so far. I know, again, there's many more to do, and I do just want to acknowledge in the chat Nathan's comments in relation to Michelle's earlier comments on the investment side of things, given the amount of grants that can be attained, and then I guess looking to some type of an investment plan to support the accessing of grants and funds. So that's just wanted to highlight and acknowledge Nathan's comments in the chat. I'm going to continue going down the speakers queue. Again, a number of hands are still raised. Our next speaker is Sherilyn.
Yeah, mine was just kind of same lines with Michelle and what Nathan just said. I just wanted to add also in the sense of the partnerships, but being able to, and I'm going to go back to it, council's going to get tired of hearing it from me, but the eggs, having an egg, a chicken farm, or even having a beef farm, to be able to sustain here, but also to go after all the different military groups that they have in Canada contracts, because everybody's got to eat eggs and everybody's got to eat beef. So it's, you know, taking the money from there also to, you know, this can be really a big endeavor if we really wanted it to be, you know. So it's a great ideas. I think like what Nathan said, and getting that all figured out with all the different types of grants. And we need to start somewhere, and we need to hurry and do it even more to help these guys, because it's coming to, you know, not many people and that it's going to be passed down to, and they can't get on the tractors like she said. So Ruby said, so I'm in, you know, any way that we can work together in partnerships and really building this adventure, you know, endeavor up, because it's needed. So I just wanted to share those things regarding my chicken farm and the grant and stuff. Thanks.
You got eggs for sale, Sherry?
So soon.
Okay, Nyala, thank you for that, for your comments, Sherilyn. Sorry, did I hear someone in the farmer's room?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment for all to consider, think about, and it might fall in line with why we're sitting here today. Through all of this, we have to look at how each of us play a part in assisting in this, because there's enough room for everybody to be involved in this. At the end of the day, it's going to be a struggle to figure out how we do come together. And one of the things that comes to my mind is this fancy word that globally they use, and it's called a summit, to be able to sit together and look at the strategies that each of us could bring to the table. In doing so, I appreciate Arlis's comments on how she sees things, and I can't help but see how the rest of the services that that help our people here could play a part in this summit. The Farmers Association could help put this on so that we can outline some of the needs that are needed right away. Maybe 6 months from now, maybe a year from now, maybe a year and a half, as we grow into certain responsibilities, and help get rid of some of the weeds that are in the way for future negotiations. What Sherry Lynn made about the comment about the eggs, I fully understand where you're thinking, and the possibilities for the Six Nations as a whole to be recognized in food sustainability for all our Native communities could be the leader in promoting this. So it could take a lot of good shape, but we need to sit down and see realistically where we play a part and how we could enhance each role, so that once we do it in knowing that it's going to grow, not doing it in a understanding that it's only an interim process. It's only a short while. Everything we do is going to fall in place with the next one, and so on and so on, to actually build this in our community for not just for us, but obviously the future generations. One of the things that I want to make sure everybody understands is that our priority for this is for our elders and for our young people that are in school, starting school. Those are our two priorities to start off with, and how it's owned as a community entity. Again, all of that needs to be out there to the community so they will be involved. And that's one of the things that came from the survey, was that the community wanted to own it. So some of the things that we don't say in this setting, there's a lot of pieces, a lot of work that's been already done. So moving forward in answering some of these questions, like what's already been discussed, it would be very good for us to sit down in a summit type of an environment where we bring our people that provide a service to the rest of our people to look at realistically how we could help each other and move forward. That's it.
Okay, Nyala, Jesse, for your comments again, really important words. And I think again, the key, I know we've been talking about this as well at the table, just in terms of, what does it really truly look like on a nation to nation basis of, potential sales and so forth. And I think that's something that obviously is a little bit down the road. I know we're a little bit early at that conversation, but I think it's something that definitely needs to be included in the overall plans. Sorry, I'm going to continue going down the speakers queue here. I have about 3 more still with their hands raised. The next I have is Hazel.
Could I also be on your roster?
Yes, I got you on Melba. So Hazel, you have the floor.
Thank you.
Okay,
You're
thank you. Yeah, just the whole presentation and the discussion so far, it almost feels like it's an exciting time of back to basics, because this can go in so many huge directions. Like Sherry already mentioned, one that I had on my list is like the chicken farms. Like you could grow the chickens for meat, you could grow the chickens for eggs. And I guess we could assign that to Sherry right now.
Thanks.
One thing that really bothered me from last week's meetings was a presentation by Don Martin Hill with regard to the water and what did she call it? Oneganus for water, and but in a way the how we have to preserve all of that so we won't have the bad droughts and the bad weather. But this idea to ensure that Six Nations people will always have food to eat in any crisis, that is so huge. And I think this whole endeavor, like, I'm glad that we've taken this time to hear the presentation. like it could expand into so many areas, like growing orchards to supply apples, Sherry's chicken farm. Like, we also need to include turkeys because, as you know, at Thanksgiving and anytime, it seemed like the price of turkeys is ridiculous when you have to buy one in the summer. So that would be a good thing to include. But I think with this discussion, we should really go with you on a retreat when you are in planning state of all of the things that need to be considered or should be, because somebody always has something in their mind that maybe they don't think at the time that it's important, but that sometimes these things are very important. One last thing that I wanted to say was, I'm just wondering if this is like a blessing in disguise as far as those birch lands go, sitting up there with nothing happening. If those lands could reach an agreement with Six Nations Council and HCC, whom you're going to, present this to, because it's not for one individual, it's for everybody on the reserve. Maybe those birch lands can be used for the planting and the growing of food or whatever needs. There's a lot of land up there that's sitting and not being used. So maybe we can get something to resolve that problem that's been sitting there way too long. And I don't know. I just want to say I'm excited for everybody. I'm excited for the farmers, and farming is in my blood. So to me, this is just like going back in time and going back to basics. It was fun, and I'm sure it still will be. Hard work, but still fun. Thank you.
Okay, Nyala, thank you, Hazel, for your comments. Again, really good comments. I think I do agree. I think it's exciting times as we assist, and do this really as a community. I think that's going to be the key, in terms of making sure that this is a success, is that we have all collaborators at the table and all key people at the table so that we can be able to, again, achieve the goals. So again, really good comments. I do have a couple other speakers left. I'm going to go over now at this point to Greg, and then Audrey, and then finishing off with Melba. Greg, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation there, Jesse. I think Art, Frank, and Ruby. Good information. My comment, or I think it was already been covered, is that we need a real community cooperation in this. There's a lot of unused land out there that I think people would be more amenable to using for food production than growing other products. I know you're probably a very competitive business out there now at finding land to grow. So I think and I like the comment they were saying about asking what the community wants. I think you could turn the table a little bit and suggesting that, this is something we need. And I think it'd be, again, a cooperation between at the community level, I think will help. Thank you.
Okay, Nyala, thank you, Greg, for your comments as well. Over to you, Audrey.
Thanks, Mark. I guess I want to get back to Ruby's reason why they're here. They're looking for a BCR from council, and I'd like to move on that BCR, but I need it expressed what exactly it is they're looking for. Financial support, or are you talking about support to build and to go out and find finances? So
yeah, I think, sorry, if I could just interject really quick, I think to my understanding, a BCR is needed in terms, I think, of support in principle of the project to help further assist in terms of next steps on finances. So the BCR, in my view, would help just that. Is that correct, Ruby?
Yes, and if you got any open cash lying around, we'll take that too, Mark. Just start our and land if you got any land.
Well, I I think we're definitely taking step one here, which is again that support BCR. Obviously, there's many more steps to go, and I think we need to walk this together. And we could definitely look back again at our finances in terms of startup and so forth. And we could have. I think we need to have further, discussions and meetings on this piece, obviously in a timely manner. But I think also too, it'd be nice to get some. Not sure how the farmers feel on Hazel's comments on the Birch property for land. I think that's something that I do agree with her that we should be able to utilize as a community for the utmost to grow food. I think that's something that would be very beneficial for the community as a collective. So maybe that's more conversations that we need to have as a group. But I think,
Mark?
oh, sorry, Frank.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment while it's kind of fresh in my head here. Of everything that's been said so far with regard to this project, if you take a real close and brief look at, I'm going to use the thoughts in my head. The community as a whole already is in favor of this thing, in a sense that they leave the reserve once a week at least to go off the territory to get enough sustenance to look after their people at home. I like throwing numbers around here, and from what I understand with my calculations is that I'm going to say it's on the light side. Like there's close to 40 some odd million to $50 million a year leaves a reserve on a yearly basis just for foodstuffs. There've been comments on how does this work with people that are using the food bank and stuff. I think, in short, if we were able to access a $10 million source of funds, so that would get this thing off the ground and get it being used, you still got $20 million or more that can go as a payback to whoever the money was borrowed from. So your payback on anything would be very short term, as far as I can see it, that this thing would pay for itself in a heartbeat. And along with people that are financially strapped at different points and times, and I think everybody can say that they've been in that position there at least one or two times in their life. And the necessity for food as a whole, there isn't nobody walking this earth that can say that I don't need food. So the topic itself is tremendously huge, and everybody needs it, whether you live here or elsewhere. And if we have the capability to help other communities, First Nations in other parts of the country, why can't we do it? All the spurs, Sherry Lynn wants to start a chicken farm and so forth. I love growing beef myself, but if that was done on a larger scale, if you had the facilities to bring in along the side of what we're already trying to achieve, there isn't nothing that we can't do here to look after our people. And for it to be free, I would never say that it's going to be free. Everybody has to do their part, and you're already spending money off reserve, so why not spend it at home here and help the people here? That's it.
Okay, Nyawa for that, Frank. Again, really good comments, and I think that's where going back to Nathan's earlier comments in the chat in relation to almost the investment plan and what that, and to Michelle's comments on the overall finances. I think that's something that if we can all sit down and put our minds together to see exactly what's going to be applied for, how much that looks at, what we can collaborate and kick in from departments as well as council. I think that's going to get us a bigger, clearer picture on the financial aspect of, sources of funds. I want to just really quickly go back to Audrey if there was any further questions on your part, and then if not, I'm going to shift over to Melba.
Okay, I have one question. That's where it's going to go. but I still want to make that motion to give them support so they can start doing this.
Okay, thank you, Nyama, for that, Audrey. So there's a motion on the floor. It's moved by Audrey to support the farmers in their initiative and project of the task force. Is there a seconder to the motion?
I'll second it. It's Melba
Chief?
before I make my comment.
Okay, I'm gonna second it by Melba. So we have the motion on the floor. It's moved by Audrey, seconded by Melba. And sorry, Michelle, I do hear you really quickly. I do have Melba in queue next, and then I'll shift over to yourself, Michelle. Melba, you have the floor.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, it's been a good short session on brainstorming and a lot of good ideas. I want to go back to, try to be very quick, go back to the Haudenosaunee Resource Center. Six Nations Council supported that program over $500,000 a year. And I think it's really important, of course, for our identity, language, and the culture. Now, farmers, they have a right, we have a right to healthy foods. And what I'm hearing, this is what is going to happen. So I really appreciate that and of course support it. And I certainly have the background of being brought up on a farm, chickens, pigs, cows, a lot of gardens of own potatoes, carrots, all those things. I'm here to this day, probably because of how I was brought up. So I really appreciate what is being said and done to go back to how we should be together as community members. It also should concentrate, I think, on our health. It's been mentioned. As we know, a lot of people complain of the foods that we buy in the store. You know, what kind of chemicals are in those foods, and blame it on a lot of times on our cancer that a lot of our people get. So that's going to be really important, the physical aspect, the mental, and the families working together. That's what we did years ago. And as was mentioned, this is hard work, very hard work. So it'll bring us together in many ways, and I certainly appreciate, the mentioning of planting trees and having our own milk and chickens and bacon, all those things that come from the animals that we should have on our table by our own work. So I really appreciate what the farmers have done and certainly progressed to where they are now with their plans for resources for themselves, as well as the communities and the skills that are going to be taught to people to actually be able to support their own families in a healthy way. We've got to put, I think, McDonald's out of business. We got to have our own chicken nuggets. We got to have our own fries. So I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay, Nyawa, for your comments as well, Melba. Again, this is such a wholesome discussion, and I do agree with your comments. I just quickly want to check in with Michelle. I think I heard Michelle prior to going to Melba. Michelle?
Thanks. And so I think none of us aren't in favor of this, because we all knew what we need here in the community, and we understand how many millions go off the territory. My question, and what we've been talking about in the chambers, is, so we denied a community member who wanted to pursue something like this too. So I think council, we need to have a discussion before we make a motion we just need to have that discussion, because now we're contradicting what we said to somebody who previously come forward with this kind of idea.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. I have that comment here. I'll look to the mover and seconder as the motion's been made already. However, I think just on that last presentation, I mean, I think the whole goal behind this, and maybe this is where, not sure if the denial at that point to that person is, we need to all collaborate. So is this opportunity to bring that person into the table to potentially look at something of further, collaboration. Not sure if that's looking to the farmers on that, because I know there was another presentation. Michelle is correct, some time ago, and just wondering, is that an appetite of, bringing everybody as much as we can to the table?
Would be nice for that person to join us. There's a room for them.
Mark, just along with the BCR there, whatever leads that I know here, could we get added into that this summit to get everyone's head in the same room and share ideas about the whole program here? Can we get that added into the BCR to hopefully happen sooner than later?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's great. Thanks for that, Frank. So maybe what we can do, looking to the mover and seconder, if you're willing to include that piece to the motion, so that we can again get that going quite quickly. I think at the end of the day, if we can, and we'll reach out to this individual as well, to then get them at a meeting next. I think it'd be important as well to have our CEO Darren Jameson as a part of the next meeting here, as well as myself and anyone on council, so that again we can look at the opportunities really that exist in the collaborations, because I think one of the areas that I was thinking as well is, I know there's a lot of opportunity within universities that are looking to do types of projects like this, or rather assist communities. And I think there's also a lot of dollars within universities, and I think that may also be an opportunity, which obviously can further elaborate on our meeting that we have next. But again, looking at all areas, that might be one aspect to this as well. So looking at this point to the mover and seconder, if that's okay to include Frank's comments on setting that meeting and having all key players at the table.
It's Melba. I think that's an excellent idea. It has been mentioned by someone, and I think we include all players as well as the community, so they can hear firsthand of what the plans are. So I agree that summit be included in the resolution.
Okay, thank you, Nyawa, for that, Melba. Audrey?
I'm good.
Okay, Nyawa, for that, Audrey. Is there any further questions or comments? And again, to Michelle's point, Tammy, if we could just make note of that last delegation that was there, so that we can inform them of this decision and get them at the table as well. Okay, is there any?
I agree, Mark and councillors and guests, that we do not want to leave anyone out. If there's good ideas, and either they certainly collaborate and be part of a bigger group, or they're on their own in what their endeavors are. So I agree not to leave anybody out. Thank you.
Okay, Nyawa, for that, Melba. So as just looking to any final questions or comments in relation to the motion or for our farmers?
Mark,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the farmers can start the ball rolling on how the summit would look and pass that out, so that people get an understanding of why we're having it, what we need, and where we want to be in a time frame.
Okay, that would be really helpful, Jesse. And if you can, again, just continue to keep the office informed, and we can assist wherever need be as well in terms of communication and so forth.
I got one closing comment, Mark.
Sure. Art?
There's a large greenhouse down on Fourth Line here where we were before. Burnham Farm. I don't know what it's used for now. We had a big garden there in 21. We had some very good workers, some young people that gained a lot of knowledge from growing that. And it's a good place to start if that's ever available. And we do our best as farmers, and it's hard work. It's not easy. You got to pull, or you got taking care of plants. It's important that it's done on a timely fashion. Even raising chickens, you got to feed and water them on time, because it's an important part of taking care of animals. Frank grows beef. Wendell Bumbry, another excellent cow and calf farmer. These people, Gord Burnham, these people can supply beef once they know that it's needed on our community, and they grow some quality beef. So I just wanted to give you that thought on the farm down on Fourth Line here.
Sure.
Nobody's gaining money from it. We do our part for volunteers, basically. Us farmers that gather, we don't get a honorarium or anything. I forbid that. We all volunteer, and it's been a lot of hard work, but I'm coming to the end of my season, but I'm going to stay on as long as I can to see it through. So I'll try to encourage those that are coming behind me, because we have some good farmers left on a reserve that's actually growing edible foods. And we just need to make sure that we support everyone, like someone said. That's all I had to say.
Mark, can I just add in real quick?
Sure.
We ask for a waive of second reading on this as well.
Yes. Okay, I do appreciate again your comments, Art. Again, really, all the work that the farmers do for our community does not go unnoticed, and I'm really glad to see each of you take the lead on this. And I think again the key is going to be that we do this all as a community. I think that's going to really be the overall success and rating of this project itself. So I'm very excited as well, and again do appreciate all of the work that the farmers do on behalf of our community. So Nyawa for that, and yes, Frank, we will get to the second reading after the motion. I just want to check in really quickly. I seen Sherry Lynn had her hand raised. Sherry Lynn, did you have anything further?
I was just going to say, if this does pass, I would like the other person to come back to council.
Sure. Well, I think Sherry Lynn, the whole goal behind that though is to get that person in addition, if that's what council likes, in front of full council, but as well as to this table with the farmers.
Yes, both, please. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thanks. Any further questions or comments to the motion? Okay, I'm not seeing or hearing any at this point. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? One opposed. Motion is carried. Motion to waive second reading. Moved by Audrey, seconder.
Melba, second.
Seconded by Melba to waive second reading on the previous motion. All in favor? Any opposed? One opposed. Motion is carried. Okay, so now to everybody from the farmers that is there in the room, we really appreciate the work that you do, and we have a lot of work to do upcoming. So thanks again for joining us this morning, and look forward to our collaboration.
Just one more little point, Mark. Can we
Sure.
have council VCR to support this proposal that Arliss and the farmers are doing together on that agri-diversity project? Because they can actually access $200,000 a year for 5 years, and it would teach, like Arliss's goal is to make people independent and be able to do other things than depend on those cards each week and so forth. Like, that's what she's behind her. This effort would do that, or try to do that anyways. So we're preparing that. It's almost ready, but we need a VCR in support of it for Agricultural Canada.
Okay, sorry, is that outside of what we just currently passed?
Yes, it is. It's a separate joint effort together to try and do them.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
Here?
Yeah, Arliss is still on the line. However, just for council's benefit, I think we'll need to have more information in front of us, Ruby. So perhaps we could get that on the agenda for the next meeting, just so that we could get council all back up to date and speed on this initiative.
Okay.
Do apologize. I just want to make sure because council, and if you can, Ruby, if you could forward on the slide presentation to Tammy so that we can get that sent out to full council just for their read.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Ruby. Oh, sorry.
Just one last comment. I want to thank the counselors that are here today, the ones that voice their opinions, their concerns. I think this is the most that I myself have heard step up to the plate and voice their concerns with what's happening and the urgency that's needed and the respect level that's going on for each working group. So I really appreciate the efforts, and I look forward to hearing from more counselors on their position on this and how we can support it, because a lot of the ideas, if we don't watch and see others jump on board to help, we tend to sit back and let someone else do it. So myself, I really appreciate the ones that spoke up today and help to assist this for our people here in the community.
Do appreciate your comments. Thanks, Nyawa and Jesse. And again, I do agree. I think it's time that this type of projects be started, and do look forward again on all of the collaborations that we can come up with. So Nyawa for that. Okay, that does complete the presentation for the Farmers Association. So just want to say again, thank you, Nyawa, to each of you for joining us this morning, and look forward to our next steps and what we have to do.
Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you, everyone. Take care. Okay, council, I'm going to continue. I at this point, I'm a little bit behind, so Michelle has agreed, and Yawa Michelle for assuming the chair. I'll need a motion for Michelle to assume chair duties as of 10:40. Is there a mover to that?
I'll move.
Oh, moved by Sherry Lynn, seconded by Audrey. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing or hearing a motion is carried. Thank you very much, Michelle, and I am off to the premier's meeting, and I'll let you know how that goes. So now,
Okay.
No problem. Alrighty, guys, we have a long agenda. We're here all day, so I hope council's ready to roll. Number 5, health services is on our agenda for the Iroquois Lodge redevelopment project. And so, oh shoot, I skipped right from the adoption. Okay, general finance minutes from May 15th. Council, did everybody have a chance to review them?
Almost.
Moved by Sherry Lynn. Do I have a seconder? Greg? All in favor?
Michelle?
Anybody opposed? Oh, Carrie?
Yeah, just a comment on that,
I didn't see
the
his
item
hand.
about the gypsy worm spraying. It's
Yep.
a lesser amount that's in the minutes. So I think that amount is, the invoice is probably gone to admin now. So it's just a lesser amount because they couldn't get the BT that they thought they could get because it was so late.
Okay.
But
So
they
that
still
be
sprayed. They still,
revised.
yeah, it'll just be the change. The change is the amount.
Yep. Thank you for that, Carrie. So Becky or Teresa, if someone can make that revision, and then that can be approved. So I think I had Sherry Lynn and moved, Greg seconded, and all in favor? Anybody opposed? Hearing none, those minutes have been approved. Thanks, Carrie. Okay, so let's move right along to 5. We have the Iroquois Lodge redevelopment. Okay, so I'm going to read the recommendations so community knows what we're talking about. Whereas, so, okay, 5A reads, whereas Iroquois Lodge is long overdue for redevelopment, and the Ministry of Long-Term Care compliance issues will be coming up in the fall of 2024. And whereas the tender process has been completed by the Iroquois Lodge redevelopment project team, and whereas the Health and Finance Department have identified funds available to cover the cost of the architectural design and contract administration of the build. Therefore, it be resolved that Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council approve HDR Architect and Associates as a successful tender for the Iroquois Lodge redevelopment project in the amount of $1,883,000 for their involvement in the design and management of this project, plus a 10% contingency fund or contingency in the amount of $188,300. Okay, so at this time we have Janet Gasparelli on the line. Is there any questions from council?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the amount 1.8 plus 10% is for the design and administration. So they still have to find monies for the construction, I guess,
Correct.
after that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Greg? Wait, sorry. Audrey and then Greg. See, I can't see that hand. Okay, go ahead, Audrey. Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, no wonder you can't hear me. I say Greg was first. Putting them back and forth. Greg, you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready. Just the question I had is, because I'm involved with a hospital, a long-term care hospital, in Toronto, and there has been funds made available for from the ministry, because as you know, they're trying to expand the number of long-term care beds in Ontario. The funds that were identified that were available, the question I had is are they coming from the ministry? Is that set aside so that we are not having to go into any funding on our own? Is that correct?
No, that's incorrect. What we don't have any ministry funds at this point to support with the construction. The approximate 2 million that we're requesting is all going to be deferred funds within the department, as well as some funds from central, and the exact amounts from each location we're still figuring out, which is why it's not clearly outlined in the briefing note. So it's all internal funds.
So it's just to follow up. So it's funding that you can apply for, right? Is that going to be the question? Is going to be taking from services that that normally would be provided to the community? Is that going to be affecting our services at all by doing that?
So we're using what's the word I'm looking for? Deferred funds. So it's funds we would have had for previous fiscal that weren't used. So we're not taking from current year dollars to reallocate them to the bill. But
thank you.
Question. Yeah.
Go ahead. Audrey?
Yeah, just something similar to the last speaker. Where is the money coming from to actually construct the building? And I have one more after that.
So as noted in the briefing note, we still need to determine where those funds are going to come from. We have submitted the application. It's included in your package to the ministry for redevelopment funds. We already know what we get from the ministry isn't going to cover everything. They're really only going to cover the bare bones. So we're looking at a few different options in terms of looking at different capital grants, fundraising, and then also what we get from the ministry. And then just for council's awareness, we do have to, we don't get anything from the ministry until the first resident moves in. So we have to front the cost and then get paid. So either way, we are going to have to be looking for some significant capital to support the build.
Okay, thank you on that. And Melba and Hazel and I sit on the development of the Iroquois Lodge, and it is well overdue. And we have visited the St. Catharines site, and it was absolutely amazing there. There's larger rooms, larger light coming in. pictures all over the place. It was just really nice, and there was a lot of care put in for our seniors, so that husband and wife can be in one room, which is quite nice. And like their kitchen, it was state of the art, as well as all their pantries, serving rooms, and the bathing rooms, and lots of space and wide halls. And that was really good to see. And the dinner area where they were eating, they used two chairs, for two people can eat at a meal. And that way they get served at the same time. So all those things, we have to make sure that we think of our seniors first and make sure they're comfortable and safe. And I really like the sketch of that, actually the design of that building. It worked really well, except we have to make sure when we come in with an ambulance or a bigger vehicle, that the overhead canopy is high enough so that it can fit under and let them off at the front door. So I'm very much for this, and I make a motion that we do this with 5A. Thank you.
Go ahead, Sherry Lynn. She's making a motion.
Oh,
do I? Yeah, sorry, Audrey made the motion. Is there someone seconding?
I can second it, Melba.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna still talk. Sherry Lynn.
I guess after when you said deferred monies, I guess I was a little questioned because I was going to bring it up later, but I went to the dentist at Gagno's, and I'm not sure how wheelchairs can get into the dentist. That door needs to be fixed, like for monies, but also the x-rays. I had to go into another different room, like to buy an x-ray or something for there. And I think if it was built, bigger, or if there's monies, these little things I think could be spent helping the dental, because I don't think we have the dental gets enough support, I'm going to say. And if we even figured out building up or out, I'm not sure, we would have more community members being able to have a dentist here in the community, because they can only do so much. So I'm a little questioning the deferred funds, because I think in a lot of departments need help. And I see it all put here. I totally understand it. But also in other areas, there's needs help ASAP also right now, because the service is up and running. Oh, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Sherry Lynn. Any other comments? Go ahead, Lan.
Just to go and help Sherry Lynn, the building that Ganeo or the dentists are located in, Ganeo's building, it's not a health building. The dental program is funded for the two side chair workers, the dental hygienist, and 2 administrative staff that's supported there. The building itself is part of the federal portion that they look after. And I know the nurse in charge there usually does work with the federal government representatives there in getting any sort of enhancements or changes in the building. But we can definitely take those forward and have them reach out to have consideration for those upgrades to be done.
But I think also too that I totally understand that. I think that's been on the table for a long time. Do we own it? Do they own it? Do we own it? Do they own it? I think this council really needs to find out the yes or no answer instead of just going back and forth, because I think the community suffers in the end. The second part about it too is if you have, I don't know how much an x-ray is, 20,000, you're deferred. Or maybe that deferred money, you can get it quicker compared to sitting here waiting for the government. So that's my statements that I wanted to that way. I totally understand the plan, but I think if you have deferred money, our community members can get service quicker. on simple things that can be taken care of right away. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just, my follow-up to that is just so you guys are aware, is the CEO's office is, it is one of their action items to get sort of the final answer around the Ganeos building and the portfolio lead that supports the dental program is already aware of those issues and is following up on them. So just so you know.
And that's a great update because I know this has been discussed a few times, so I'm glad there is some discussion still happening. And so with that, my last comment then is, because I don't see any other hands, is I know it was tendered. I'm always one to give back to community. So is this, like, I'm not sure where this firm is from, but we did have our own apply, correct?
Nobody from the community applied. However, HDR did incorporate Two Row Architects as part of their project team. So Brian Porter would be involved.
Okay. Thank you. So with that, we have a mover and a seconder. So if there's no other questions, we will go to a vote. Okay, all in favor? Does anybody oppose? Hearing none, motion is carried. 5B, that the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council approve to waive second reading. Moved by Audrey.
Second, Melba.
Thank you. All in favor? In favor? Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion is carried. Okay, thank you, ladies. Alrighty, let's move to number 6. Do we have Lillian on the line?
Yeah, I'm here, Michelle.
Sorry, okay. Alrighty, so number 6 for the community is regarding Harold Road. So this is a new subdivision over off of 4th Line, and we're going to be talking about the Hydro One multi-service agreement. So the recommendation reads 6A, whereas an expansion deposit in the amount of $260,528.41 is required to be paid to Hydro One before work can commence on the multi-service agreement for Harold Road expansion. Therefore, it be resolved that the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council approve the payment of the Harold Road multi-service agreement expansion deposit in the amount of $260,528.41 be by certified check or letter of credit and coded to general ledger account 130302000. Okay, so I know we had this conversation when we met with Hydro One a couple weeks ago, so it's quite clear to me, but is there any questions in regards to getting the hydro over connected over on Harold Road?
I'll move.
Moved by Sherry Lynn. Do I have a seconder?
Second, Nathan.
Thanks, Nathan. Any final questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. So waiving of second reading, 6B, moved by Sherry Lynn. Do I have a seconder? Nathan? Yeah, I think
Sorry.
Nathan. Yeah. Okay, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, Lillian. All righty, moving down to number 7, RBC signing authority. So there has been some changes within our finance department, so we need new or to remove signing authority. So the recommendation 7A reads, whereas the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council is required to update the signing authorities on all business accounts with the Royal Bank of Canada. And whereas one of the current signing authorities is no longer employed by the Six Nations of the Grand River. Therefore, be it resolved that the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council approves to remove signing authority of Ana Cecile Perez on all business accounts effective immediately. Do I have a mover on that one? Moved by Greg, second by Audrey. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion is carried. And waiving of second reading, moved by Counselor Frazier, seconded by Audrey. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Hearing none, that motion has been moved as well. So I don't believe we had any additions to the open. Oh, we do have one. Counselor Frazier, over to you.
Yeah, just an update on the Stanley Cup watch on Saturday. I thought it was well attended, considering we had the hydro issue, although that didn't affect our audio visual production of the game. And also with the Bandits too. Congratulations to them. That game was on at the same time. So, but overall, I thought that those who attended, they had a good time. It was fun. Hydro issues didn't affect us. The other thing too is we were able to sell all of the signs, which generated about a little bit over $4,200 in profit for the Six Nations minor sports and other activities. So we thought that went very well. Just a reminder that it is game day today. There is a watch party again. I believe the doors will be open at 7:15, correct, Tammy? Yes. And it will be at the community hall tonight. So pizza and wings, it's going to be a good time. So we invite everyone to come out, and actually, it is basically a little bit of a fundraiser for our Six Nations community sports and activities. So we invite everyone to come out and enjoy the game and spur young Brandon on. That we had a disappointing result last time, but well, the more people out there, the better. So I think we'll have a good result tonight. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Greg. You gotta go sleep. Thanks, Greg. Okay, so with that, I need someone to motion to adjourn to our in-camera meeting. Moved by Sherry Lynn, seconded by Greg. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thanks, community. And before we end, I do want to say on behalf of Chief and Council, we extend our condolences to Councillor Miller, who is on bereavement leave. And to the families, because I know we have staff within our council department. So thinking about the entire Miller family. With that, community, have a great week. Take care.